Everyone gives so much reverence to this energy, but where is God? And there are a lot of misconceptions as to exactly what is this mystic world. And we have 7 chakras all situated along the base of the spine. I don't even appreciate the fact that people would do aura cleansing or chakra activation or chakra meditation on their own. When you hold a crystal, you're actually holding the energy of the earth in your hands. Crystals are very useful little tools. Clear quartz is the most commonly used crystal. Negative energy is a really very bad thing. In fact, most of the time, these negative energies are put by people whom you know.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode. Many of us are curious about energy, intuition and the mystic side of life. Today's conversation, we are going to decode the unseen world, its energy and its deeper meanings. And joining us today is ophthalmologist, author and spiritual thinker, Dr. Meera Srikhande. Meera ma'am, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Basically, I am by profession an ophthalmologist, but right since childhood, I've been interested in metaphysical subjects and parapsychological subjects. Means of course, I was a normal teenager, but I used to also wonder about God. Everyone gives so much reverence to this energy, but where is God? We can't see him or her. We just know that he's there, and that depends on your faith. And these sort of things, I used to have this sort of line of thinking. And therefore, after God, it went on to the soul. That man has an immortal soul. And the person dies, that something goes away from their body.
Right.
That spark goes away. So where does that spark go and what happens to it? Does it again enter another body or no? And these are the subjects that I was interested in. So my first book was about out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, remote viewing, spiritualism, exorcism, and extrasensory perception, and things like that. That was the theme of the first book. Then I also had a very avid interest in aliens and life in the universe. Means there's such a big universe out there. Is it possible that we are the only ones on planet Earth? Milky Way is so vast. And then there are so many hundreds and thousands of galaxies. There are so many millions and billions of suns which have their own planets. So how is it statistically possible that we are the only ones in the universe? So then my study took me on to a lot of things like SETI, Area 51, and Bermuda Triangle, the loss of Flight 19, and so many other unhappy incidences that take place when there are alien abductions and crop circles, animal mutilations. All these things were in my second book. So the second book was basically all about aliens and UFOs and my view about the whole thing. So these are the 2 books that I've written earlier. Now I've touched upon the metaphysical subject. The mystic cold word decoded. Mystic world decoded is about the mystic world and how people are very interested in this subject. People are very confused at the same time, and there are a lot of misconceptions as to exactly what is this mystic world. What is astrology? What is numerology? What is palmistry? Is it true? Is it not true? Then what are the various methods of healing? What is pranic healing? What is Reiki? What is quantum healing? What are Akashic records? What is things like that.
A lot.
So a whole lot of things like that. So that's why I thought that I'll write a book on it, just because I had attended many classes since the year 2011. I have been attending classes on seminars and workshops on these subjects. So I thought that whatever I have learned, let me put it into print so that people get an idea. Means I had experiences of my own and then I had written the book. So basically Mystic World Decoded is about that.
I'm so glad you mentioned it. I must first say that these worlds are poles apart. One is the medical field that you come from and this different subjects that you touch upon. And talking about your latest work, Mystic World Decoded. I feel every book, every project starts from a personal spark. So when you say that you started attending classes in 2011, tell me, when was this moment that, personally sparked you, okay, I must write a book on this and this is based on my experience?
I basically started collecting all my data. And then I realized that when I spoke to people about it, they said, the people were like not really interested or more than interested. They did not believe. So I felt bad somewhere that, people don't even believe in these things, which I believe in so much. So I decided, I said, let me write a book about it. At least I'll get the satisfaction that I have put everything that I have learned into one volume.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, this book actually talks about a lot of unseen aspects of the world. Like
Yeah.
you also touch upon the metaphysical side of a human being. And for a lot of people, I think this term is quite alien, which is also, again, your subject of interest. So tell us, what does it mean and how does it influence us?
See, as human beings, we have one physical body. That is, everyone can see. But we have other bodies which we cannot see. And they are very important because it is in these metaphysical bodies that our true self resides. And it is also in the metaphysical body that illness first starts. Before it attacks the physical body, it is there in the metaphysical body. And clairvoyants, or people who can look into these dimensions, will tell you that there's something wrong with your aura here, or there's something wrong with your chakra there. And you've got to believe it. Like when I was into all this, a professor of mine told me that there's something wrong with your throat chakra. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm drinking too much cold water or having too many ice creams. And then later on, a disease sort of manifested, a thyroid illness, which was something totally out of the blue. But he had already told me about it and I had not really paid attention to it. So then this is what is important. So our metaphysical bodies are starting from in, out, the etheric, the astral, the spiritual, the mental, the cosmic, and the nirvanic.
6.
Yeah, 6. And plus our physical body, 7. So these are the medical 7 chakras. And we have 7 chakras all situated along the base of the spine, starting from the root chakra, the navel chakra, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra. And right at the base of the root chakra lies the kundalini.
Okay.
That is serpent fire. It is like, it's depicted as a coiled serpent. And those very lucky few people who are able to raise the kundalini have a lot of benefits out of it, because the kundalini rises like this up the spinal cord. And as it rises, it activates each chakra. And you get the full benefits of your chakras and your auras. And then it goes on to the crown chakra, where they see 1,000-petal lotus. And that is awesome. I mean, this is bliss. People who have aroused their kundalini say that there's no bliss like this. There's nothing compares to what this is. So these are the metaphysical bodies of man.
But one needs to be aware of this, right, before they actually experience it?
Yeah, one has to be aware of it. I mean, one has to be very careful. It has to be a guided meditation where a guru is guiding you to raise your kundalini. Because if you don't do it, if you do it haphazardly, you can get yourself into deep trouble. It can sort of harm the body and really cause problems. After all, you're playing with fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for all those who have never experienced it, they should do it under a guidance of a guru.
Yes, they should do it under a guidance of a guru or a spiritual teacher or somebody like that. Not on their own. I don't even appreciate the fact that people would do aura cleansing or chakra activation or chakra meditation on their own. This also should be done under the guidance of a spiritual teacher.
Again, I'm glad that you touch upon this, because a lot of people are familiar with this term aura. You look at somebody and you say, okay, his aura is not looking very positive.
Yeah.
Her aura is not very welcoming. You say this, but you don't fully understand what aura is. So for all the viewers, how would you explain aura? And is it actually practically possible to cleanse it in today's time?
Yes, aura is basically, everybody has an aura, living, non-living. Aura is an electromagnetic energy field which surrounds you. Now, it depends on the type of person you are. If you're not much into spirituality and, you're just doing your going about your day-to-day life, then your aura would be somewhere a quarter of an inch around your body.
Right.
But the more spiritual you get, the aura increases.
Right.
Yeah. And it has different colors. The best color in an aura is white or golden.
White or golden.
Yeah. And the bad colors are black or brown. It signifies some illness or some problem in the aura. Then you have the colors of the rainbow in the aura. And as far as cleansing the aura is concerned, there are many methods. The best is salt, rock salt.
Okay.
You have a bath with rock salt. And that cleanses the aura. Just like we have a bath with soap and water which cleanses our physical body, the rock salt cleanses your aura. Then you also have crystals like the master crystal, which is clear quartz, or amethyst. These crystals cleanse the aura. You can do hand sweeping movements, on your aura. You can do the hand sweeping with your hands if you have energy enough in your hands, or you can use the crystals to sweep your aura.
How many times are we supposed to do this?
The 10 to 15 times.
10 to 15 times.
Yeah, 10 to 15
Standing,
times.
and you just
Standing, and you just
you're like
cleanse
cleaning
your aura.
yourself.
Yeah, you're cleaning yourself.
Okay.
And this should be done at least 10 to 15 minutes every day. When you get up in the morning, you first visualize your aura. What are the colors in it? How is it? And then you, once you affirm that I want to cleanse my aura, I want to remove all negative energy from my aura. And then you introduce white or golden light into it. You introduce the light into it, so that comes inside your aura and your body, and it cleanses it. So you are inviting white and golden light, which is the light of the divine, and you're cleansing your aura. And you can also cleanse your aura with powerful mantras like the Mahamrutyunjay or Devi mantras. These form a sort of shield around you. They cleanse the aura and they form a shield. Means you are no longer exposed to the outside world. You are comfortable, you are protected, and this shield lasts for 24 hours. So every 24 hours you're supposed to this shield. Then there are other things also, like certain yoga asanas and all that are used for balancing the aura. So basically these are the methods that you can use for aura cleansing.
So it's like you're charging your phone every day.
Yeah.
You're cleansing your aura, and you're charging yourself to face the outside world.
Yes.
But I'm very curious about the salt water, the bath that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Once you do that, the aura automatically cleanses, or there is also a brief period, 6 days, 5 days, you're supposed to do it and then it cleanses?
No, it automatically cleanses. See, some people use rock salt with little turmeric and they say prayers. So when you use that, when you put it in the mug of water and you put it on yourself, and then you put the normal, regular water on yourself, it cleanses the aura immediately. And this, if it's done every alternate days, or if you've known that you've gone to a public place, or you've gone to places where, there have been a lot of negative people, or there have been a lot of negative vibes, then you do this salt water bath every day, chant your mantras, and then you imagine a shield around you.
Right.
A purple colored shield or something like stainless steel, which reflects anything that comes on you. It won't come into your aura. It'll hit that.
Bounce back.
Yeah.
So fascinating. Not a lot of people know about this. If they actually understand what it means, then I think they can imply this every day.
Yes. It's very useful. You can do it in day-to-day life. It's so simple. I mean, how difficult is it to have a salt water bath, or to chant a mantra, or to just visualize your aura and imagine white light and golden light coming into it? This is free of cost, and you just sit, and it takes hardly 10 minutes.
But ma'am, I mean, I'm sure you must have experienced this a lot in your life. Any such example that you remember, anybody who kind of cleansed their aura and you saw a different side of them after they did these kind of practices?
Yes. See, there's something known as Kildian photography, which is done at MIT, where the aura is actually photographed. So you are shown the photograph of your aura, and you can cleanse it, and you can do any of these methods.
Right.
And then you can take the photograph again and see that the red parts, the orange parts, which signify anger, those are gone, and it is more blue or green. Blue is a very good aura. Green is a healing color of the aura. So when you see this, you heal yourself.
So that's a proof
That's the
you have
proof
worked at.
that you worked.
Wow,
Yes.
it's just like you're wearing a different color, you're getting photographed, and then the next time you're having a different color altogether.
Yes.
And I think there's also an extension of this after aura. Beyond energy, there's also intuition. Now, I'm
Yes.
somebody who personally believes in intuition. I feel I have a very strong intuition. But a lot of people, again, for them, the term is very common. Intuition hota hai. What is intuition? Are there different types of it? How would you describe it?
See, we have the 5 senses, and we perceive our world through the 5 senses. But there is also a 6th sense. Now, this 6th sense is the intuition. It comes when you are relaxed and quiet. I mean, when you're in a hurry or you're running around the place, you won't get any intuitions. And it comes when you don't expect it also. It's just a small nudge, or it's just a small voice in your mind telling you that don't go to this particular place, or don't mix with this particular person, or do this today, or do that. Don't do this today, do it 2 days later. So intuition is something very special, and it is your subconscious mind talking to you. or you can say it is the divine giving you messages through your subconscious mind.
But I have to interrupt you here, honestly, because sometimes when I get these kind of messages, I get confused whether it's my intuition talking or whether it's just a random thought passing your head.
Yes, this happens very often. It happens to me also. Random thoughts do keep on passing. But if you were to just sit quietly and meditate and just think that was this a random thought or was this really an intuition, some kind of indication you will get depending on how spiritually developed you are. If you're not really much into spirituality and all that, maybe the intuitions have a habit of coming once and not again.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't keep on coming. So you have to be very calm and quiet and think that was this really just my imagination, or was this something I heard about and I dreamt about and that came, or is this really something from the divine? And analyze it. Is it possible? In this situation, this intuition is coming. Is it really an intuition or is it just a passing thought?
Right. So I think it has to be a very calm environment, and it comes once in a while. It cannot be
One is not repeated.
and you feel it very strongly within. Okay, he's telling
Yes.
you something, you have to follow this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, use physical tools also to enhance their spiritual practices, like
Yes.
crystals. Now, again, crystals is something that sometimes people say it works for us. Sometimes people say you have to be very careful about what crystal you're using. So
That is very true.
that one line changes everything. So tell us about this. What are crystals and how can one actually practically use them in daily life?
See, when you hold a crystal, you're actually holding the energy of the earth in your hands, because crystals come from the earth.
Okay.
And then they are polished and they are, made into different sizes and shapes, and gems are made out of them. But crystals are very useful little tools. They have something known as the piezoelectric effect.
Please explain this.
Piezoelectric effect is that you charge a crystal, you give it a duty, you say something that do this for me or do that for me, and it comes out with greater force. The crystal does your work with a greater force. So it's the crystal that is actually helping you out. It's magnifying your intent into the world.
You're commanding it.
You're giving the command and it is increasing the command. And so just by your saying something, things may not get done. But when you're energizing a crystal and telling the crystal, there are high chances that something will be done.
So it's like
Yeah.
genie basically in this line
In
that
a lab.
you wish it and hopefully it
Hopefully it
will work.
happens.
I'm not sure even hopeful word should be used because you're like confident that it will work. Only then I think it attracts, right?
Yeah, or you have to have faith that it will work. If you don't have faith, then the crystal is also not going to really support you. And then there are so many types of crystals.
Yes.
The clear quartz is the most commonly used crystal. It's the master key. A master key that opens every lock. I mean, it is used for healing, it is used for protection, it is used for manifestation. The clear quartz. Then you have, and the clear quartz comes in different types, You get rocks, big rocks you get,
Yeah.
or you get little beads, or you get pencils, or you get any different kind of shapes of the clear quartz. But the pencils are more important because the pencils have that point, and those points, they attract the intention and they help you. Yeah. And then rose quartz. Rose quartz is used for unconditional love and for love itself. Then you
Rose
have
quartz.
rose quartz.
Okay.
It's a pink colored stone. You get it in heart shapes also. You get it in different shapes. You get pencils. You get so many types of crystals.
What about career, ma'am? If you want to like really manifest something for career, is there any different crystal for that?
Yeah, there's a crystal known as a carnelian. It's an orange colored crystal. And this carnelian is very helpful for your career. You keep on giving it a command that, okay, I would like my business to grow or I would like my finances to increase. So carnelian is one thing. Carnelian is for growth in your career, and citrine is for money. Citrine is a yellow colored stone. It's very beautiful. It's like a topaz, but it's not as expensive as a topaz. But the citrine crystal helps you in public speaking, and it also helps you get money. Many people keep citrine crystals in their, in the place where they store their money, or they keep them in their purses or in their wallets. It's also useful for public speaking. When you want to speak publicly,
Right.
You would energize a citrine and tell it that, please give me good results, or give me the confidence to speak with.
So there are different crystals meant for different
Different
purposes.
things.
So say for somebody, one of our viewer has to go and buy a crystal. What are the three things, or say one very important thing that you would suggest them that do this or do not do this?
See, you have to have the person who is going to guide you needs your full birth date and needs your full birth name.
Birth date, birth name.
Birth name. When that is there, then that person, and there's a book known as a Crystal Bible.
Crystal Bible?
Crystal Bible, yeah. It's a book which has all the photographs of all the crystals that are there, and it has all the information that you want. So this person with his intuition and with his learning would tell you that you use this crystal or don't touch this crystal. Like I once had a very bad experience with a sapphire. You know, I had gone out and I liked a ring. I was very young at that time. I just liked that blue color and I wore it. And I realized that all kinds of mishaps started happening in my life.
After wearing that?
After wearing that. And then I just showed it to somebody. They said, who asked you to wear this without asking anybody? Because this is a crystal that is going to harm you and attract negative energy to you.
There are crystals like that as well?
Yes, sapphire. Sapphire is the Shani stone, which is used with very great caution.
So why do people wear it? I mean, if it's something that attracts negative energy.
I mean, if Saturn is beneficial to you, if Saturn is your friend, then you use the sapphire, blue sapphire to enhance it. But on the whole, very few people use blue sapphire. People use jasper, aventurine quartz, then they use moonstones and tourmalines, tiger's eye. Tiger eye and tourmaline are meant for protection. You can wear it as a bracelet, you can wear it as a pendant, you can keep it rocks in your offices or in your homes. You can even make crystal powder, mix it with rock salt and keep it in different corners of your house. You can keep it on your windowsill, under your bed, under the furniture and things like that. It would keep pulling in the negative energy. Like in my clinic, I have all kinds of patients coming. So I keep a big tourmaline and I keep cleansing that tourmaline. You know, crystals have to be cleansed because they are like batteries. They will pull in the energy, and then one day they'll break. So you have to, again, crystals are cleansed with salt water.
Salt water.
Yeah, salt water.
I think that's the remedy for everything.
For everything. Salt water, yes. And even agarbattis are very important.
Agarbattis?
Agarbattis, yeah. Especially agarbattis like Loban. They are the ones which drive away negative energy very fast.
That's why we see them in the mandirs and temples.
Yeah, Loban is seen, very often seen in mandirs. Yes. And then when you energize a crystal, first you cleanse it. It has to be a water-resistant crystal. Some crystals can't tolerate water, but most can. So you wash it with plain water when you get it from the market, or you wash it with salt, and then you give it an intention. You can hold it in your palm, cover it like that, and say 3 times what you want. Or you can keep it above the smoke of the agarbatti and again say your command 3 times and then put it in a glass plate. Always use glass for crystals, not stainless steel and plastic and things like that. You can keep a plate or a bowl or something like that.
There's so many nuances. If I go and buy, I'm going to call you from there itself. Madam, I'm stuck here. Please talk to this vendor here. But I mean, there's so much enlightenment here. I think there's another aspect I want to talk about that people still follow. It's an ancient philosophy, astrology. Now, astrology, again, I feel is a very subjective term. Some people know something about astro. Some people try to predict something from astrology. Let's just clear this out right away. What is astrology and how beneficial is it for us in everyday life?
Astrology is your weather map. You know, when you are born, when you are building a building, you lay a foundation and according you say, well, I'll have the beam here, I'll have this here, I'll have the... So when you are born, the placement of the planets and the angle between the planets and the placement of the houses and the placement of the 12 zodiac signs are very important. They are your life plan. And I have not met an astrologer who will give you 100% result.
No accuracy.
No, that much accuracy nobody has. Only the divine has. Because then otherwise it will become very complicated, you know. So you go to an astrologer, that person will give you the reading that this is like this is like that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like if you know the forecast, if you know it's going to rain, then you can carry an umbrella with you or a raincoat with you. But if you don't know that it's going to rain, you are caught unawares.
Yeah.
So that is how it is with astrology. I have not written it as a superstition, but as something which can be used in life. You know, which can sort of complement you and which can help you in your life. I don't think it is something to be ignored. I think it's something very important.
It is.
Astrology is very
But
important.
again, one needs to be rightly aware about it because some people
Yeah.
actually blindly follow astrology. So let's talk about, because ultimately it's about protecting yourself, protecting your energy. But then there's also a flip side, negative energy. How do you look at that, and what measures can actually be taken into consideration to protect your energy?
See, negative energy is a really very bad thing. I have faced negative energies in my life. I have seen many people. Means when I wrote my first book, people used to come to me for advice that, we are having this problem, we are having that problem. And you won't believe me, 95% of the people who came to me said that we are suffering from this, these are the symptoms. This is what is happening to us. And I would say that, yeah, this is an effect of negative energy. Now, just like positive energies are there,
Yeah.
and plus is there, minus is there. Light and shadow walk together. So also with negative energies. If you have positive, you have negative. And negative energies sort of, they just like positive energies uplift you. The negative energies downgrade you. They put you into such a bad situation that you run out of luck, you run out of your business, you run out of your health
Overnight.
And very often, in fact, most of the time, these negative energies are put by people whom you know, your relatives or people who know you. Otherwise, A, B, C, and X, Y, Z is not going to come and put negative energies on you. So this is how it actually works. I mean, it sort of comes into your aura and it blackens your aura. People also send entities into your aura.
Yes.
Entities are sent, they are made in by the universal energies, and they're sent into you to harm you. And those entities are also given particular, they're given warnings, or they're given instructions that you have to go there and do this, this, this. Even if this happens, you have to do this, this, this. So that is how negative energy is done. And the people, I have actually gone to people who do this negative energy because I was interested in seeing how they do it. And just by going into that atmosphere, I had health issues. Just by going there. So I said, okay, I've had enough. I've seen what people do and how they do it. I'm not going to really, go much into it anymore. But I've had negative energy effects on me because when I have been initially asked to deal with people who had negative energy problems, and I realized that I was catching hold of those energies and they were coming to me because my aura is not strong enough. Now, how much to keep on cleansing the aura and the chakras, and also at a point came in my life and I had to tell people that please don't come to me with these problems because I have problems. You go to somebody who is, very, very highly spiritual developed, or you go to your priest, or you go to your church, or you go there and you sort of try and find your solution over there rather than find it with me.
True. It affects you, it drains you actually.
It drains you physically and mentally. And there's something known as nazar. You say that, iski nazar lag gayi. So what exactly is nazar? Nazar comes from the eyes. It is an energy of envy, or an envious gaze, what you call it. This negative energy goes and hits the target. You say something, so and so is looking really good, nazar lag jayegi, sort of a thing. But actually it happens. Lagti hai aapko. So you have to be protective about yourself. You have to wear those crystals or pendants or negative energy bracelets. You get those evil eyes, those blue things, because blue is the color that absorbs that negative energy.
Blue.
So blue, that typical blue color which is there. So you wear a pendant, or you wear a bracelet, or you wear it as an anklet, and it protects you. And many people have wall hangings also.
Yes.
Yeah. So that it doesn't, offices which are doing very well, people which are doing very well, they have wall hangings. Or sometimes they have something which is not seen. It's kept hidden somewhere so that people don't know that.
Sometimes people, nimbu and mirchi ka bhi they hang it.
They hang it.
Nazar na lage. That also.
Yes. Nimbu is a very good absorber of negative energy. Yeah, and those 7 chilies are there. Those 7 chilies also are there for all these. This whole thing is hung on a string. Mainly on Saturdays, you'll find people moving around the streets selling them.
Yeah.
that is also for the same thing.
So
And
it is beneficial.
yeah, it is beneficial. And you will feel, and there are many people who play sort of games.
Yeah.
They say, we don't believe in all these things at all. These things are ridiculous. It's all rubbish. It's all superstition. But you see that they have all these gadgets with them.
So they don't admit it openly.
They don't
but
admit it.
that's also maybe kind of a misconception they have that, okay, let's not openly tell people, because what if they kind of throw some negative energies out?
What if they laugh at us?
What if they laugh? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something people still look down upon, these kind of things.
They look down upon
we
it.
do this, but we don't want to tell the world.
They're educated. We can't possibly do such things, but they do it. Same thing with astrology. Many people say, we don't believe in astrology, but you will find them going to astrologers and getting guidance. Anyways,
that's a different subject.
That's a different subject.
But in this conversation, I think I picked on this one thing, because many people also feel that there are angels, there are energies beyond universe who are protecting you. First of all, do you believe in that if it happens?
Yes, angels are there. They are very much there, and they are extremely useful. You have the divine.
Right.
Then below the divine, you have 25 archangels.
25.
25.
Okay.
And the variety, I'll tell you some of the varieties of angels. They are cherubims, seraphims, dominions, powers, virtues, angels, archangels, and principalities. These all angels are given jobs to do. And everybody has 2 guardian angels from birth to death.
2?
Yeah, 2. But the busier a person is, like those who are really very, and have too many tasks to do, they have more angels, because they have those angels running around helping them. And you can always ask your angels for help. You don't have to do anything. You just have to say, my dear angel so-and-so, please help me with this work. They are not allowed to do anything for you unless you ask them.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they are like with you all the time. Like even right now when we are chatting, there are angels.
There are angels
protecting
with us, protecting us.
The 2 angels.
There are 2 angels. I have 2 angels. And angels also, they act as intermediaries between humans and the divine.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are 4 main archangels.
Right.
And they've got their own duties to perform. We have Archangel Michael, who is the most popular. He's a Michael, he's a protector. He's very good with your electronic gadgets also. If you are stuck in a traffic jam, or if your gadget is not working, you just call upon him quietly and you see the changes. I mean, I use Archangel. There are people who even tell Archangel Michael, please help us find parking space, To that extent, people go.
Little things.
Little things also. And I'm sure Archangel Michael listens and helps. Then you have Archangel Gabriel, who is the communicator.
Okay.
Yeah, he's there in many religions also. Then you have Archangel Raphael, who is the healer. He's known as the medicine angel.
That is
for
healing.
For healing, yes. And then you have Archangel Uriel, who is a very wise person, and he has a lot to do with your past life karmas and things like that.
I think that angel is very important for me right now, because I feel myself, I'm stuck in the past and not able to concentrate on the present.
Then you should concentrate on Archangel Uriel. You should get his, you should download his photograph from the net.
Okay.
And you should see whatever is written, and you should pray to him every day. And you'll find shifts. Shifts gradually definitely occur.
It happens. But this one thing that we talked about, healing. That's a very important part of the journey. Are there different modalities, versions of healing as well?
Yes, there are plenty of modalities of healing. You have pranic healing, you have Reiki, you have quantum healing, then you have what is known as the aromatherapy healing. Now, what is Reiki? Reiki was introduced in Japan by Dr. Mikao Usui.
Right.
And it is you touch the body. You have to be initiated into Reiki first. You have to have your crown chakra open and the energy is going into your crown chakras so that you can be a Reiki guide. And then you place your arms, your hands, your fingers on the part which is required of a person. You can even do it to yourself. You have a stomachache, you can channel Reiki energy into your abdominal plexus.
Yeah, where you touch the body part where you feel this is troubling me and take that energy.
Yeah, take that energy, yeah. Then you have pranic healing. Pranic healing is a no-touch technique.
Okay, no touch.
Yeah, no touch. You do hand sweeping movements like 15-20 times. And there is a solar plexus healing, where you imagine your solar plexus, which is normally yellow in color. You have a look at it, whether it's smudged with negative energy or stagnant energy or whatever. And then you introduce purple light or yellow light into that solar plexus chakra. And in 10 to 15 minutes, you will start feeling the difference. Then there's another very popular thing which is done, which is known as a twin hearts meditation.
Twin hearts meditation.
Twin hearts.
Okay.
You touch upon your heart chakra and your crown chakra. Your heart chakra basically is green in color, and you can emanate green light or pink light from it. So you cleanse your heart chakra, then introduce the light into it. And the important thing with this twin heart is you can give it to the earth. You can give it to people who are suffering. You can give it to the needy. And that's very important. You just take so-and-so's name and you say that I'm sending energy from my heart chakra to so-and-so person.
So the other person actually feels that kindness, the lightness that they want to.
Yeah, there's something that they need. You can be of help to them. Then you have the crown chakra, which is white in color. And so you imagine that white, pure divine white light or golden light in the crown chakra. And that light also you can pass on to the earth or you can pass on to people. And this healing is also a very popular method of doing pranic healing.
Best thing about your work, I feel, is, it bridges both spirituality and science together. So finally, for all the viewers out there, if you want to describe quantum theory in simple terms, and how does it help to understand energy and consciousness, how would you say it?
See, quantum theory is a very revolutionary theory. Initially, there was Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yes.
And the world moved on Einstein's theory. That was the be-all and end-all of everything. But then came quantum mechanics. And quantum physics is so shocking that Niels Bohr, who is a quantum physicist, has said that anyone who has not been shocked by quantum physics has not understood it. It is that shocking. You go into the realm of the atom. You go into the subatomic space. You find that in the atom, you have neutron, protons, and electrons. So you find that the electron, which is a very basic thing of the atom, jumps from one orbit into the other orbit. And it doesn't traverse the distance between the two orbits. It just jumps from one place and goes to another place.
Just like instantaneous.
Yes, just like that. And this is known as the quantum leap. And this is like really peculiar because, see, all of nature is made up of atoms.
Yeah.
And if the atom can behave like this, then all of nature is behaving like this. So this is important in healing, And there's in healing, what happens is that you just give the affirmation, you just give the command that I want such and such a thing to happen to such and such an organ or such and such a patient. And quantum healing, at least I find that it heals very fast and very well, because you are basically going down to the structure of the atom and you're healing the person.
To the minutest
thing in the universe is the atom. And that's what quantum healing is all about.
So this is why people say when you manifest, when you think before you think, because these kind of reflections actually affect your own world and the world out.
Yes, very correct.
So I think, ma'am, from this entire conversation, I personally feel there is so much to look beyond our world and this universe. But before we wrap this, for all the viewers out there, if you want to just talk about Mystic World Decoded, where can they find and where can they learn more about your work? What would you say?
I have a website which is known as drmeraparapsychology.com. And there every information is given. And I have books with me. Many people contact me, then I send the books to them. It will be available on Amazon soon. And it's also got the Marathi edition. And the Marathi edition will be available on Poti soon. But as of now, I have it. And I am sending the books to people.
So we look forward to that version. And of course, many, many more books from you. And
thank you.
Advance Happy New Year. Hopefully next year we get to see more books from you and more such insightful conversations. But thank you so much for your time today and helping us decode this unseen world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, if this conversation sparked your curiosity, Mystic World Decoded is a book that invites you to explore further. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you soon in the next episode.